Hi Gail, my name's Alex Cox and this is my AMB339 reflection video. This semester studying ad campaigns has certainly taught me a lot. When choosing a role, I chose to be advertising manager. Though of course, like most advertising students, I find creative to be the most interesting role. I thought it would be fun to challenge myself with something a little bit different. Being without a partner and the only ad manager in the group, I was immediately designated group leader. Designation I admit I wasn't totally confident about. As you know, there are lots of very bright people studying this subject, and my team was certainly no exception. There are definitely members of my group who who know a lot more about the advertising industry than I do, and have had far more experience than I've had working within it. So I sought to approach the role in a way that would best bring out my existing skill set, which mostly revolves around business development and broader sort of business practices. I did this by doing my own research about the hotel industry and using this knowledge to inform decision making throughout the unit. Pretty early on, I realised much of what I was required to do was organising get-togethers and making sure everyone was communicating, and most importantly, setting tasks and adhering to deadlines. I soon realised these are all very important aspects of the ad manager's role. However, what I found wasn't often mentioned when ad management is outlined and the main learning experience I'll reflect upon is how I learned to be a good leader within my group and the things this encompassed, as well as the challenges that emerged. Firstly, it made me think back to my time in working in business, the core business unit. I did it back in QUT in 2012. So I revisited esteemed academic Meredith Belbin to see if any of his research could back up my experiences with leadership and team management. Looking at one article that outlines his team roles, such as like completer, finisher, team worker, etc., I can see definite parallels between these roles and the people I worked with. In one section, he talks about plants, the silent, creative types, and who they may need and how they may need prodding by a more extroverted team member to get their point across. And I definitely found this to be true. For example, I remember noticing at an early team dinner we had that one half of the team sat together and talked a lot more, and the other half consisted of the quieter members who were not talking really or sharing their ideas. I decided then to always remember to ask the quieter members questions to make sure their opinions were heard. I think in this regard I was definitely successful in my role, as there was always a wealth of perspectives and team diversity to enrich our ideas and create stronger synergy as a group, as opposed to a minority speaking for a majority. I did find, however, that the strengths and weaknesses outlined by Belbin for the team roles do not really match up to my experience, and I think people are harder to categorise than his theories might say. I also looked over some communications and leadership theory to compare with my experiences. One article I found argued a point that I certainly believe coincided with my own experiences. Two gentlemen researching on behalf of a UK university, their names were Bolden and Gosling, found that leaders in modern corporations are more likely to be successful if they take a more inclusive and collective approach, as opposed to the more traditional individualistic taskmaster sort of approach. Within my group, there were very few instances of disagreement or people being upset with any particular approach, and I think this may owe itself a little to the fact I always sought to include everybody in decision making, and never made a single decision without consulting anybody else. As stated by the article, I think this makes for stronger leadership, and I will certainly be using this in my future career. Another paper with the catchy title Organisational Influence Processes, written by Robert Allen, found that the single most important factor to leadership success is emotional intelligence. I found this interesting because I've often wondered what attributes sort of make or break a leader, and have often worried that they are not the ones I possess. I've never been exceptional at meeting deadlines and do not consider myself a task-oriented sort of person, and these are traits often associated with good leaders. I did not encounter many problems in my role though, and this I think coincides with the research that emotional intelligence is the main driver to leadership success. Emotional intelligence includes such things as self-awareness and empathy, both of which I do believe I possess in pretty good quantity. So in conclusion, in AMB339 I learned that I can in fact be a capable and even good leader, despite lacking some traditional leadership skills. Things such as bringing out the best in individual members and having a democratic approach are useful for strong leadership, as the research suggests. I've also learned advertising management is not just about communicating between client and agency, amongst other things, but also being successful at leadership and interpersonal relationships. That's the end of my video. Thanks very much for watching. And also thanks for a great semester. I really have had a great time and have learned a lot. Thanks very much.